Okay, I really do apologise for all of that, ladies. Now I can't see myself, so just hang on. I will be with you just a second. Oh dear. Okay, so right, I really don't know what's going on because I can't see anything on my screen. And if you are watching, thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm trying to find myself again. Right, I'm still here and I'm still trying to see if I'm on the screen. Okay, I think I might be getting myself. I can see Hilary saying I'm still here. Oh, right, looks like I found myself. Oh, wow, thank you so much for sticking with me, Hills, and I'm really sorry about this. So this is a live stream delayed by 4 minutes now, and it's on the 12th of November 2022. Hills, so glad you're still here. You're a trooper, a true trooper, aren't you? So I wasn't sure whether I would get here or not because I had work to do this weekend, and I was a bit afraid that it might take over from everything else, but I sorted myself out this morning and had time to do some work and also plan something for our live this afternoon. So what I'm going to use is the Merriest Moments stamp set. You've seen me use this several times before. It's one of my absolute favourites. The whole set consists of a fabulous embossing folder, a set of incredible dies, so many here, and the wonderful stamp set. Now, I use all these elements of all of it all the time because it's so versatile. And today, I'm going to do something I've not actually done before. So I'm using vellum to make a card, and vellum actually is going to feature quite largely in the card. It is a vellum card, really. And I'm going to be using some basic white cardstock to create the frame. So I'm going to start with 2 pieces of basic white cardstock, and they measure 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. Looks like it's just you and I, Hills. Hopefully the others will find us soon. Now I'm going to make a centre mark in this card, and that's going to be at 4 1/8. And I'm going to score. And I'm going to do the same with the other card. Okay, so when I fold those in half, they will actually be 4 1/8. Sorry, 4 1/8 by 5 3/4. Oh, I'm really not doing well. Hi, Naveen. Thanks for joining us. So I had some technical issues, as you might have seen earlier, but I'm here at last. I'm going to have a swig of my tea because I'm so thirsty. So 2 pieces of cardstock, Levine, to make a basic A6 card, and I've scored down the centre of both pieces. Okay, now I'm going to make a frame to support my vellum. So I've shown you this technique many times when I've been gutting card, and it's exactly the same principle, but it's slightly different because I'm going to make a frame on both sides. Now I'm going to start, as I always do, by butting up this edge on the 1/2 inch mark at this side of the trimmer. And I like to work with it this way because I find I can then read off all the measurements on my ruler here with the line on the trimmer blade. So what I do is I start off by lining it up with the 1/2 inch mark on my ruler. I'm going to take it down to the 5 1/4 inch mark on the ruler here, which leaves me a 1/2 inch at the bottom as well. So I'm coming down to the 5 1/4 inch mark. I now want to make the same mark over here to the inside of the score line. So I find the best way to do that is to marry up my score line with the 1/2 inch mark on the trimmer here. Now, if you're not very good at matching up things like that, place a ruler on the 1/2 inch mark and keeping it still at the bottom, move your card until your score line is level with your ruler. Now, I know you can't see that here, but I can see mine and you'd be able to see yours. Okay, so I've got that lined up. My blade's already in the right place because I've left it there. I'm going to come up and I'm going to stop again at the 1/2 inch mark. Hi, Anne. I'm really glad you've stuck with me, Anne, and I do apologise for all the messing about. And you will know I didn't do it on purpose. So next I'm going to move that score line up to the cut line, and then I'm going to move it across again to marry up with the 1/2 inch mark here. Okay, I've not moved my blade, so I'm leaving it where it was. I'm coming down again to the 5 1/4 inch mark, leaving it there. And then I find it easier to take this round and go measure this up to the 1/2 inch mark here. And then I bring it up again like so. And then I simply put this back in at the 1/2 inch mark so that all my cut lines are facing down. Pop this blade in, and I know it's already at the 1/2 inch. And all I do then is bring it down so that it matches. You've got a little line here. It matches with our cut line. Lift it up, move it along to match with the next cut line, and stop when it matches that one. And then turn it round, match it up with the 1/2 inch line again. We know we're in the right place because we left our cutting blade there. Move it up to match with our line here. And move that along again. Back up to the 1/2 inch. And that will cut us out 2 large areas, and this is our frame for our card. Now I'm going to do it all again to make sure that you've got it. Oh, hello, Karen. Thank you for joining us today. I don't believe I've seen your name on my live before. It's great to have you along. If everyone would like to welcome Karen to today's live. So I'm going to do that all over again. So down to the 5 1/4 mark. Bring it over so that my score line matches up with the 1/2 inch mark here. And that's perfect. Bring this up again to the 1/2 inch mark at the top. Bring this down to match the 1/2 inch mark here. So my score line is matching the 1/2 inch mark. Bring that down to the 5 1/4, and then to make it easy, turn it round, bring it up to the 1/2 inch mark here. Back up to the 1/2 inch at the top. Oh, we have Carol, another first timer. Lovely to see you, Carol. A big welcome to you. It's really nice to have my usual faces along with some new ones. So again, I'm going to bring my cutting blade is level with this line. I'm going to come down to the next line, like so. Just lift my ruler up a bit and bring it down level with this cut line and stop at that one. turn my cardstock around up to the 1/2 inch mark here, and then come back up, lift it to move my cutting blade, come down and stop at the 1/2 inch mark. And again, I've got the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to move the the trimmer out of the way. Oh, lovely to know you're a big fan, Karen. It's so nice of you to say so. Now, I've built myself 2 pieces that are the same, and they will create the borders and the frame for my vellum card. So come to the vellum, and this is lovely stock cardstock. It's from Stampin' Up, as all my supplies are, and it's nice firm vellum, really good to work with. And I'm going to use this today to run through the embossing folder, which is part of this collection. I'm placing it right in the center of the embossing folder, closing it down, and I'm going to pass it through my cut and emboss machine. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute or two while I run this through. So Karen says she loves the A5 cards. Yes, that's normally what I make. But today I wanted to showcase this suite, and particularly the embossing folder. And that only is an A6 size, so that's why I'm making a smaller card today. Glenna, hi! Lovely to see you on a live. Thanks very much for joining us. So Glenna's in the States. So this is the image you get when you use the embossing folder on the vellum. It's absolutely gorgeous. It kind of creates this lovely, beautifully white embossed image. Now I haven't got it really central, but it really doesn't matter. It's fine. Now you don't need to emboss the other one because that's going to be for the back. Now to join this onto my cardstock, I'm going to use some double-sided tape, or tear-and tape, which is the Stampin' Up name for it. Oh, Glenna's corrected me. She's not in the USA, she's in Canada. I'm so sorry, Glenna. I knew it was across the pond, that direction. So it does emboss absolutely gorgeous. It's a combination of the actual vellum and that beautiful embossing folder. It is gorgeous. And when I emboss vellum, I do make sure that I only run it through the machine once. I know very often when we use our die cut machines, we run things back and forward because it's just habit. And, you know, if you run it through once, it goes to the back of the machine, you run it back again and it brings it back to you. I think that's probably why most of us do that. Now I'm going to put the tear-and tape on both sides of this, and you'll see why in a minute. But with vellum, even though this is a good strong vellum, it's still quite delicate material, and so I think you do run the chance of actually tearing the vellum if you run it through twice. So this is a little bit time consuming, popping the tear-and tape on, but you will see that it does give you dividends by putting this on nice and carefully, making sure you get your tape right up to the edges, and using this technique of tearing the ends off with a plastic gift card, credit card, or whatever you've got that's no longer current. It really helps to get a good straight edge at the end here. So we're nearly there on the home straight. I don't know if you've noticed, but I always start my first piece of tear and tape slightly in. It's the width of the tape. I leave a gap there, and I find that that really helps when I come to the last one, because it means it comes right to the end of my piece of work, and again I can nip it off nice and neatly. So just one more piece to do, and here we go. So what's everybody been up to today? Have you been crafting? Have you been doing boring housework? Or have you just been relaxing? Well, that's what I like to hear. Crafting, relaxing is my idea of weekend. So I actually did do some work this morning, and I thought it might take me longer than it did, and luckily I was on it this morning and I got it all done so that I could plan for this live this afternoon. I also put some laundry out on the washing line in the middle of November. Isn't that fantastic? So that was a bonus. Right, so I've got tear and tape on all of the corners, all the borders, and I'm going round and I'm really pressing this down very firmly. And you can use your bone folder, but I find if you use your fingers like this, the heat of your fingers actually helps the glue to really take to your material, whatever it is. So Anne says Hilary has been shopping, washing and relaxing now. That's unusual for you to go shopping on a Saturday, Hilary. Okay, so I'm going to stick the plain one into the back of our card. So I like to remove the, oh no, I'll do this one. So I like to remove the corners of the tear and tape like so. Those of you who watch me all the time know this little technique. So Carol says she's relaxing this morning, and it was 17 degrees in Kansas. Wow. I don't know what the temperature is here, but it's certainly very mild. Naveen says that Bolero had his athletics this morning and she's now relaxing. Hilary says they needed some boxes of heroes. Yeah, Hilary probably gives more chocolate at Christmas than anyone else, I think. And she shops around to find the best price, don't you? Where did you find them today? And did you manage to get yourself a good price? So I pop this down and I've cut my vellum to be just, it's 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. So that gives me plenty of room to get it in without any of it going over the sides. So that's the one side. Now I'm going to put the front of the card in, and make sure that you get the raised area of the embossing to the front of the card. So I'm doing it upside down. So I'm going to take these bits off first and put it in upside down. Now, I've used this embossing folder several times, and I'm still not absolutely sure if there really is a top and a bottom. But I don't think there really is. But I've gone a bit skewiff on this one. It's not quite straight, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to look good. I think that's the best way up for it. So in it goes, and once I get it where I want it, I peel away all the excess. And then I'm going to take off these ones as well. I should really have left those ones on, but I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be brave and go with it now that I've taken the taken those bits off. I can't do anything else with it. So let's pop this one on top. So if I line it up here, it should go across and line up fine on the other side too. And I pull this piece out like so. There's a bit stuck under there now. I just didn't get all of it. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And then peel all those bits away. So we've got the front of the card. I know it's a little bit skew-if, okay, you'll have to forgive me on that. I think after the trauma of everything going wrong at the beginning, it's kind of thrown me. Okay, so Hilary managed to get the heroes for £3.50 each with a club card in Tesco's. Goodbye. Hi Ruth, lovely to have you along. Thanks for coming. The tear and tape, you've not seen that before. Right, okay, Levine, I'm glad you learned something from me today. Now, if you do get it slightly out of line, which sometimes you will, you know, sometimes it just goes like that. Don't worry about it. Just take your scissors and just take that edge off, all right? It doesn't matter, it's okay, it's a card. Whoever gets this is going to love it. Now, I thought it would be nice to put a bit of sparkle on this, so I'm using my Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to go over all the lovely embossed holly leaves here, and there's some little sort of fir like boughs here, and I'm just very lightly going all over this, and it really gives a lovely kind of shimmer to it. Now, if you don't have Wink of Stella, you could certainly add some glitter to this. That would be absolutely fine. Anything you've got that you think would just add to this. It's a very delicate card. It's going to be just in white, the vellum and the frame. I'm not going to put any colour on this one. It's going to be very, very light card front. So, what have you been up to today, Ruth? Have you been crafting? Silly question, probably. So, I'm going to show you that I've cut some pieces using the die here, the rectangular die, which is in the die set, and it's sized perfectly to fit the center of our embossed piece here, so that fits beautifully in there. But before I do that, I'm going to stamp it with one of the greetings. Oh, so Ruth had a Christmas stamp and stack this morning. Gosh, the very first workshop I ever went to was a stamp and stack. Not really my thing, but because I don't like to make lots of Christmas cards the same. But I understand that for some people it's absolutely perfect and it's a great idea. So I've just made sure that was nice and straight. And I'm going to take the real red. So stamp a stack is, yeah, where you do a series of cards. I don't know how many designs Ruth does. Maybe 2 or 3 designs, and then you stamp multiples of them. So load up my ink onto my stamp and hoping that's central. I'm just going to leave that for a second or two for the ink to transfer. How many did you have along this morning, Ruth? So that's stamped beautifully. and I'm going to place this into the center there. Now you can use the Tombow multi-purpose glue on this. The secret with vellum is not to add too much glue. You just put a very small amount on and kind of let it air dry for a minute or two. If the glue's very wet, that's when you might get it seeping through and distorting the vellum. So if I just pop that in the middle, the wet glue also gives you that little bit of wiggle room, a bit of time to move things into position. So Ruth says she has 10 ladies today, 40 in total, a combination of 12, 8, 8, 9, 3. Is that the number of cards? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand that, Ruth. Now, when it comes to putting the centre in, if you leave it like that, it actually doesn't look unsightly. The glue's not too bad, but I can see faintly where it is. So it's always nice to put another piece on the back to hide that. The only problem with vellum is that you do have to hide your glue. So if you pop another piece on the back just like that, it'll be, oh dear. Right, I'm going to let that dry and then I'm going to use my mono eraser to take that off. Now, we also want to write in the middle of our card. So just to put that there and get it in the same place as that is quite difficult. So what I do is I put it over here and I line it up exactly with this one. And then I bring my card over in that crease there and stick the whole thing down like so. And then while your glue is drying, you can give this a really good burnish along the crease. And it does take some burnishing because you've got 4 layers of cardstock there. Okay. And then if you hold your bone folder flat like this, you spread the glue out and you even out your piece so that it sticks really firmly and nice and flatly. And then we can do the same thing again to put the piece on the back, again covering up our glue. If you get too much glue in one place, you can just stop squeezing the bottle and just move it around with the tip. I blow on it a little bit as well, just for good measure. And then because you can see through this, you can place that in exactly the right place. Now, obviously, if you take a bit more time than I did to make sure you get your embossing folder in dead straight, it will look better. Let's be honest. Okay, now I want to just add a little bit more colour to this. And the way I'm going to do that is by using the little stamp here, which we in the trade call dottage. Glenna is a big dottage fan. And I'm going to use the real red again to match in with my sentiment there. And I'm just going to randomly add my dottage. And I'm just going to take a piece of rough paper here because I don't want this to go on the back. Like so. I'm just going to clean off my stamp so I get the real red ink off of it. Hello, Caroline. I don't mind if you're late. It's really good for you to come along. Thank you. So Glenna's having a giggle about the dottage. And I planned the dottage even before you came along. Right, so I'm now taking garden green Any green will do, but it just happens to be the one I've got open on my desk. Well, not open, but it's here. And I'm going in between just to give that little contrast of colour. Let's put that there again. When you stamp anything like dottage, it's always a good idea to turn the stamp each time you use it so that you get a different kind of image. It doesn't look too uniform. Caroline, is it the first time you've been with me live? I really can't remember. I'm so sorry. But welcome to you, whether it's your first or 40th. When I cut out those rectangles here, I used a piece that I'd cut out of here. So it shows you that you can use the bits that you thought were going to be scrap. Now, this card is lovely as it is. It could be a finished card now. But I quite like the idea of adding one more red item. And I chose to stamp this lovely image using the real red again. And I stamped it onto a piece of vellum. Now, I did this ahead of time because stamping on... Oh, sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Glenda says dottage is perfect for almost every card. You're right, Glenna. Cindy, I didn't see you come on. It's lovely to see you. And you're saying bye-bye because you're out of the door and off to OS. Have a great time. Caroline says, no, it's not the first. She sat in second back row a few times. Great to have you here, Caroline. Thanks for joining us for a chat. Caroline's the wee Scot. Yes, I remember now. Yep. Now, the reason I stamped this in advance is because when you stamp on vellum, it takes a long time to dry. And if you try and stamp it and then use it straight away, you will come a cropper. Now, I'm looking at it and I can see that I think it might still be slightly damp. So I'm going to be really brave. I'm going to take a piece of tissue, pop it on top, not move it. And I'm just going to blot down, and hopefully if there is anything wet, I will take it off now. Right, well, nothing came off on the tissue, so it must just dry a bit shiny. Great. So one of the dies is designed to cut this shape out, and I'm almost sure I took the die out ready to use. Yes, it's missing. So it must be underneath something here. Okay, just talk amongst yourselves, girls, whilst I see if I can find it. No, it has been buried underneath something, so I'm going to cut it out with my scissors. Just takes a little bit more time, but it's not impossible. Now, I find when you're doing cutting like this, the best thing to do is not try to actually cut on the line. Just cut very slightly away from it. And if you move the card and keep your scissors still, you're more likely to get a good result. So get the scissors in, move the vellum round, keeping the scissors still and just closing them as you move. You should find things work out a bit better. I know this isn't for everyone, but I actually don't mind it. I know it's got the name of fussy cutting. I don't know why it's called fussy cutting, but to me it's just cutting out. And before we have the luxury of dies, many years ago, this is how we used to do it all the time, didn't we? We just cut things out with a pair of scissors. Right, now this is where it can get a bit difficult if it is a little bit wet, because I don't want to touch anything inked with my fingers. So I'm using my trusty tweezers to hold it. Never done this before. Quite brave, don't you think, on a live? To use my tweezers to hold on to something and cut it out. Dead proud of myself. So this is going to go, now where do you think? I think it'd look better in the bottom rather than the top. So I think I'm going to put it in the bottom left or bottom right. Oh, I think bottom right. Yeah, that's where I'm going to pop this. And I'm going to use a little blob of wet glue, the tiniest little bit, and I'm just going to take a bit off with my finger so that there really is hardly any there. It doesn't take a lot to stick vellum. Because I've used so little glue, you can't even see it. Now, because we've got the 4 layers of card, this really does take a lot of burnishing. All right, and it will never lie flat, but it's very good. I mean, we've got a good stable card there that will stand up really well. Now, we've got the enamel effects, pearlized enamel effects, and these are gorgeous. And I'm going to use a couple. Now, I'm thinking the red and white is going to be the best. So I'm going to put the, if this was black, I might be tempted to use it. Although it's called black, it actually comes out very, very dark, sort of metallic grey. So Caroline's agreed that it goes at the bottom. And Carol says it's very pretty. Thank you very much, Carol. Now I'm going to just lie my card flat at the moment, because when these go on, if you... oh, before I do that, let's just see if we can get rid of that ink on the inside of my card. These mono sand erasers are absolutely brilliant. You don't have to press hard, just go over it several times lightly, and you can usually clean up any little mess. It's really good. So yeah, I'm going to do a couple of dots here now. I think we'll go... Oh, actually, I've forgotten. It's a good idea not to shake these, because you don't want to get bubbles in this, but you want the liquid to come to the top. So if you do a couple of sharp taps, it comes to the top. Caroline says, I bought a few bottles out of Poundland. Do you mean this? I've tried lots of these liquid pearls, and I find that some of them are not very good because they don't give you a nice round pearl, whereas these do. It dries beautifully into a proper bead. I think we'll go in the middle of this one with red as well, and then I'm going to do one more here. Do you think I should go 4 and even it up, or do you think the triangle of 3 is better? I would have said a triangle of 3, but now I'm thinking I should put another one there to even it up. What do you think? Yeah, it does take a long time to dry, Caroline. If it's not doming, mine is, but if it's not doming, if you just flick it below with your thumbnail, that does help them to level into a perfect dome. But these actually dome beautifully. Oh, we've got arguments here. 3, 4 and 3. Ah, and Caroline says another. So we've got... Oh, I'm going to put another one. I didn't squeeze that very hard, so I had to do it, squeeze again. So just going to tap that at the bottom. So as you've seen, it will stand up beautifully on its own. So this is a way to use vellum as the main part of the card, but putting it in the frame will give it that stability. I've just realised that I've got more ink here from my fingers. So just taking that off with my eraser. And these are available everywhere in all stationers and on the Amazon, of course. So that's the card I've made just now. Now, I did make one earlier, which is almost identical. So Anne and Glenna both say perfect. Caroline says perfect. Hilary says fab. I think it was the right thing to do. Cheers, girls. This morning I had a play and I did something almost the same. But instead of adding the coloured poinsettia there in red, I actually coloured the back of the vellum with one of my marker pens. I used the Garden Green Stampin' Write marker. So this is the same ink that's contained in the Garden Green ink pad that I used to stamp the dottage, but it's just in a pen. Dottage on that one too, yeah. Now, I think it looks lovely from the top. It's just a very pale green that shows through the vellum. But because there's nothing on the back of it, it's very dark on the back, and you can see the colouring's not fantastic. So I don't think I'd want to do that again. But I do like the effect on the top. So it's up to you whether you want to colour your vellum or not. I think they both look nice at the front, but as I say, there's the downside to that at the back. Of course, you could cover it with another piece of vellum, but then I think that defeats the whole object. But anyway, whichever one you like, whichever one you want to do, you can try them both if you want. Your colouring might be better than mine. Please have a go. Caroline says she doesn't have any pens. Right, if you have some pencils, you can use those. I've done it with pencils before. And you can buy some blender pens. It's not the alcohol Stampin' Up blends. They're actually kind of like felt tip pens, but they're colourless. And they just contain some liquid that doesn't warp your cardstock. So you could have a go with that, or use a tiny, really little bit of water. Anyway, that's today's cards. I'll just stand that one up so you can see how stable it is, because we've got the 2 frames using our cardstock. So thank you, Levine. Levine says lovely cards. So glad that you've liked it. Ordinary felt tips might be fine, Caroline, but I don't know because I haven't tried them. But what I would suggest is get yourself a piece of scrap vellum, try the felt tip pen on one side and turn it over and see what you think. If you like the effect, then yep, it works. Okay, that's today's live. Thank you again so much for joining me. So glad I could get here today, because as I said, I wasn't sure if I would. So if you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps with my YouTube statistics. Anything can be purchased from my online store, and you'll find a link to that in the description box below, along with the links to the digital downloadable available catalogues. Hillary's just given me her signature, lovely jubbly. That's the best compliment. Caroline says, thanks, beautiful card. Thumb was active. Great. Well, I'm going to give all of you a thumbs up now, because I'm really, really, really glad that you come along to watch me and support me. So bye-bye for now, and I'll be back on Wednesday evening with a recorded video, and hopefully I'll be back again live next Saturday at 2:30. Bye-bye, everyone.